Hi guys, welcome back from the break. As I told you before, we're going to be talking now about political discontent and political disaffection. When we talk about political discontent, is actually talking about the government being unable to solve people's problems, whether the government is succeeding at solving what people need or not. And actually, the best way to see this is whether the problems of the citizens change over time or not. And if you see that the problems that the Spanish people have mainly since in this last decade, was about the economy. Actually had to do with the economic crisis. You know, the economic crisis hit pretty badly Spain, and the people actually had the feeling that the government was not providing the solutions that were solving the problem of the economy and also unemployment. So, but the discontent of the people is something that actually is not worrying, because actually it has to do with one single administration, whether people are discontent with them or not. So it's not a deep problem for democracy and of the political culture. If you're talking before about democratic legitimacy, if the people find that it's not legitimate enough, then we do have a problem, because the whole system it's on trouble. Well, if we're talking about political discontent, is one single government, and the solution to that problem is just changing to another one. So it's not such a problematic issue as the other two are. So if we look to the problems, we see that actually on top here, we have actually economic problems, we had actually unemployment, but actually one that is increasing has to do with politicians. And politicians became more and more of a problem. And this actually will connect with the next topic, that is political disaffection. It's a negative political orientation or attitude which appear to be both deeply rooted in political cultures and extraordinarily important. And this is the key difference, whether discontent is something temporary, in a sense, because it's the inability to solve problems. Disaffection is much bigger, because it's not one single government, it's a political system. Actually, it's quite interesting now that one of the keys that the researchers are hypothesizing about how did South Korea do so well with coronavirus crisis. It had to do with the people's trust in the government, and how people follow the instructions of the government straight away about social distancing. And that had to do with the trust in the government, whether political disaffection exists or not. How can we measure this in Spain? In Spain we have CIS, Centro de Investigaciones Sociológicas, Sociological Investigation Center, that every month asks questions to Spaniards. And one of the questions that asked in many of these research is what feelings do politicians and politics inspire you? And if you look at the answer to this one, is actually quite negative. Only 20% of the people respond with positive feelings. 80% of them are either saying boredness, distrust, irritation. So many of them, and the biggest one is actually, if I recall well, distrust. So all of these speak of deeply rooted political cultures and distrust in politicians, and the fact that in the previous survey, politicians showed up as a problem of the country talks very negatively, because that's a deeply rooted problem. It's not something temporary that one administration can change from one day to the other, because it's in the culture of the country. And that obviously has to do with corruption. Later in the course, we're going to talk about corruption in Spain, and we'll see how that affected these feelings. And that's something that started already in the 80s and actually came from before, from the times of dictatorship. So also, how can we see whether there's political disaffection in Spain or not? It has to do with the interest people have in politics. However, when we ask people whether they are interested in politics or not, the answer is actually relatively positive. I mean, only 40% say that they are very much interested, mucho o bastante, a lot or very interested, but then poco, a little bit, 30%, and only 25% say that they are not interested at all. And that's relatively strong results for a country as Spain. Later we're going to talk about the quality of the democracy in Spain. Actually, you will see that Spain ranks relatively high in terms of the democratic index of the Economist Research Unit. Spain does pretty well in those indexes. So by the end of the day, we're saying that actually people are interested in politics, but at the same time, the feeling is that these politics inspired to citizens are quite negative. And a perfect show of that was this. And nowadays, you should be able to recognize this picture. This was 15M, And Pekin family was a clear proof of political disaffection. It was not against a single political party. It was against the establishment in a sense. It was against the system. It was against rooted cultural values in the society and the need to change in our democratic system. So actually, when we're asking ourselves the question whether the political culture of Spain has changed over time in the last years, the answer might be yes, because these new parties are the result of the political disaffection and the need people had to express themselves differently and new voices into the system and changing the system and changing the majority game and changing the attitudes toward politics. However, the change is not perceived yet in the culture. In the perceptions and feelings of people, we do see other changes within the system, within the actors. So the political culture in Spain is changing. However, change is not deep enough to alter political feelings and culture of the people. So this was about it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you next week, as I said, on Monday, if I recall well. I think we're going to be talking about the quality of democracy in Spain, but I'm not completely sure. Just stay tuned. On Monday, you'll have another video on contemporary Spanish politics. And remember to submit the assignment on Saturday latest. If you have any problem, just email me and I'll try to answer straight away. Have a nice weekend. Bye.